Um, Let me begin by saying that yesterday and day before, I was in Calcutta or Kolkata, invited by the alumni there who wanted to bid farewell. What touched me most is the fact that while welcoming me into their midst, a very distinguished member of the Calcutta chapter of the St. Stephen's Alumni Group summarized one of the assembly addresses I had delivered last month. Now, this is very significant because for the first time in the history of our college, not only first year students, but 65, 70, 75-year-old former students of the college are also attending the assembly. They are with you. They are an unseen presence with you. This, I believe, is tremendously significant. So even when you see a few vacant chairs, don't you worry. There are many, many more people than this hall can hold who are daily attending the assembly. Maybe sitting in their own study rooms, but there's a very large number of people, both Stephanians and non-Stephanians, both Indians and non-Indians, are with you in the morning assembly. The second thing I want to tell you is that today's assembly address will be very brief. I'll stop about 7 minutes from the end of time. I would like all of you to join me for a photograph. That's why the professional photographer is here. So as soon as the assembly is over, I will not walk down the central aisle, but I'll turn left, go into the mess lawns, and I would request all of you to join me very quickly so that we don't waste time. Okay, now let's begin. We were looking at true religion, the meaning and the scope of the expression true religion. We have so far encountered many things. Today, I want to introduce yet another aspect. And that aspect is actually contained in a very simple sentence in the text that you have now heard 5 times. And that sentence can be remembered very easily. 4 or 5 words. He took care of him. All monosyllables. Okay? All monosyllables, but each word is significant. He took care of him. Just 5 words. 5 monosyllabic words. Walked is disyllabic. There are 2 syllables. Walked, or say handed. 2 syllables. Handed. Here each word is a single syllable. Okay? He took care of him. Now, the interesting thing, if you know style, is that when a sentence is constructed of single or monosyllabic words with only 1 syllable, okay, it is difficult to rush through that sentence. And I'm going to repeat that. I want you to understand these things. When a sentence is constructed with monosyllabic words, you cannot rush through that sentence. It is so structured, it's so made as to make you think as you read. You try to utter the sentence in a rushed manner. He took care of him. Means nothing. He took care of him. Understand? It is so very significant. So I'm going to say to you this morning, and hope to illustrate it or explain to you, that true religion nurtures a caring culture. Very simple. Can you remember this? What does true religion do? True religion nurtures a caring culture. Human nature alternates between two poles, two extreme possibilities. On the one hand, you have cruelty. On the other hand, there is caring. Both are part of human nature. And the important point is that if we don't cultivate and propagate a caring culture, by default, a culture of cruelty will prevail and triumph. And that's horrendous. And this is exactly what is happening in our times. About 23 years ago, or more than 25 years ago, I started working in the field of HIV/AIDS, human immunodeficiency virus, and acquired immunodeficiency. It threatened to be a pandemic of very gross proportions, which it did become. For about 5 years, I worked day in and day out on this problem. And the main issue that came up before me was the fact that the modern world has lost its capacity to care. So when this problem came up, people panicked. And the infected people began to be hounded. Their houses used to be burned down. They used to be completely ostracized. And even family members did not know what to do with them. I produced the first documentary on HIV/AIDS in this country for Doordarshan. It was shown both in English and Hindi. And producing that film for me was a heartbreaking experience because it brought me face to face with the harsh human reality of our times. Thankfully, we have changed a bit. But in most other contexts, we still remain paralyzed in terms of our capacity to care. Now, unfortunately, the kind of mercantile religiosity or piety that's being peddled and marketed in our times does not even talk about it. It's all miracle mongering. It is all shortcuts. Come to me and I will solve your problems. I have got some magical powers. I'll take care of your destiny. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is to entrust your life and money to me, and you can lead a very safe life thereafter. I don't know how people can take this nonsense. To me, true religion is all about propagating a caring culture. First principle in caring culture is to care is to recognize and respect the worth. Please remember these things. If you value something, you will take care of it. If somebody gives you an expensive set of diamond jewelry, I don't know why diamonds attract people at all. You cannot eat it, you cannot play with it, you cannot read it. The most useless thing in the world are diamond whatever. But people just hold on to it as though those inanimate objects are the ultimate achievements in the world. So suppose you value diamond jewelry. Will you not take care of it? Or will you put it in the kachara bag? You will take care of it. Why? Because you attribute value to it. Suppose the same set of diamond jewelry falls into the hands of a madman who does not understand the value of anything. What will he do? He will just throw it away. Okay? So the problem that we have to address is not so much the fact that the caring culture has declined, but that in our times we are not able to understand and respect the value of anything, or anyone for that matter. This is why, for example, the elderly are not cared for at home. This is why teachers are not respected. This is why opportunities are belittled. This is why institutions are despoiled. People who are supposed to be knowledgeable or wise or whatever, they're so blind when it comes to the worth of other people. They're very full of themselves. They know their worth. They want the entire world to kowtow to their sense of worth. But nobody else has any worth. They're supposed to be educated people. And this is the tragedy of this country. Not only of this country, this is the tragedy of our species at the present time. It's because of this, my friends, that I want you to know that true religion opens our eyes to the worth first of your own being. And invariably it happens that a person who is aware of his own worth, her own worth, will respect the worth of others. The people who go around making a hobby of defaming others and eroding their worth, insulting and humiliating others, attacking every Tom, Dick and Harry like a bull in a china shop, are people who really do not have a sense of self-worth. Because if I have no worth, you have no worth, because you have to be seen through my eyes. Seen through the eyes of a person who has no self-worth, nothing in the world has any worth. Seen through the eyes of a man whose heart overwhelms with joy and happiness and a sense of the greatness of his own being, even a blade of grass, it shines with worth. Understand what I'm saying? So one of the most important tasks in education is to propagate a caring culture. Now, if you look at our public life, ask yourself as to why it is that corruption abounds in our public life. People think that corruption can be eradicated by simply shouting against it. The fact of the matter is that even people who are shouting in the public space, denouncing corruption, are just waiting for an opportunity to practice corruption. They're only saying that they don't get opportunities. They are saying that opportunities to practice corruption are distributed unevenly and unequally. That's what they're saying. Now, if I value the work I do, if I value the mandate given to me, if I sense something divine in the responsibilities entrusted to me, tell me, how in the world can I allow even a particle of corruption to come into it? Only a person who does not value his work, who does not value his being, who does not value the country, who does not value his neighbor, his fellow citizen, who has no sense of respect or accountability to the species to which he belongs, only such a person can practice corruption in the context and through his work. There is no other way corruption can happen. Please understand one thing. Corruption happens only through work. The unemployed people have no opportunity for corruption, to extort bribes. And the higher your post, the greater the scale of corruption. Why? Because your heart is not in the work that you do. Why? Because you have no self-respect. Why? Because you think that this country is full of people with no understanding, that there is no accountability in this country. Because you think that the more you have, the more people will respect you, which is unfortunately true. If you and I do not cultivate the discipline of looking down upon and denouncing, boycotting those who have become richer through corruption, then we are equally corrupt. If you attach greater value to a man who has more money because he has been corrupt, how are you superior morally to that person? count the corrupt as abominable. The corrupt must be deemed as a visual abomination. But the prevailing climate of opinion is different. Corruption is considered to be a smart thing. Why? Because you don't care for the country. You don't care for yourself. You don't care for anything under the sun except money. Now, when you do that, if that is your attitude, you will be exactly like the thief in the story who wounds and bleeds anyone and everyone who happens to come your way. The thieves have nothing specially hostile against this traveler. They don't know him at all. They are simply expressing or displaying in public their attitude to life. They are saying this is who we are. But we still haven't learned the lesson that the corrupt of this country are thieves. We don't call them thieves. Confucius, the great Chinese thinker, once said that you can't even begin to help the world unless you begin to call people by their right names. You understand? A thief is a thief. A scoundrel is a scoundrel. A bully is a bully. No matter what name he has, no matter what label he has, this much of clarity we must have, this much of courage we must have. Otherwise, we will never practice the caring culture. The opposite of caring culture is practicing slavery, either cruelty or slavery. Both degrade work. But more of it, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Why day after tomorrow? I'll tell you day after tomorrow. All right? So let's rise for prayer. But after the prayer, we'll assemble on the mess lawn.